Welcome back to COS Business Podcast, the number one podcast in Colorado Springs. I'm Marcus Alvarado, and today we have a very familiar guest, Mr. Andrew Hazzlee from Vehement Visuals. How's it going, man?
It's good, man. This is weird, dude.
Yeah.
It's weird being on the other side of the table, for sure.
Yeah, man. Well, explain why you're on the episode today. It's a very big milestone. Explain why today's your day.
Well, we haven't done an episode with me being interviewed, and we figured, people have seen me interview every episode, and we were like, why not do the 100th episode, turn it around,
Yeah, bingo.
Full circle, yeah.
100th episode, man. That's awesome. It's a big milestone, man. I'm so excited to be interviewing you.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your business now in 1 to 2 sentences. We're going to turn the tables on you today, and give us a little bit more about you and your business, Vehement Visuals, and I'm going to give it over to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, sweet. Well, it's Vehement Visuals is my business that I run, and I also run this podcast called the Colorado Springs Business Podcast.
Really?
Yeah, it's a business as well, and it's actually the number one podcast in Colorado Springs.
That's what I hear. Well, cool, man. Well, we're going to go ahead and roll the intro music, and we're going to get started.
This is a show where we have real conversations with entrepreneurs and business owners who are mostly in Colorado Springs doing things in the community of Colorado Springs.
Oh, snap. Here we go, man. Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit more. What was the precipice to get you into being an entrepreneur? Because I know a lot of people, you've been introducing people, interviewing people all this time, but we want to know a little bit more about Andrew and what makes Andrew tick.
Yeah. I just run all day, every day. So what was the question again?
So tell me a little bit more about what got you started. Like, what's the precipice of what made you be an entrepreneur? I know you've been doing it for a long time. Obviously, we've known each other for a long time. Tell me if there was any large moment in your life that said, okay, like I want to go into business for my own. I want to control my own destiny. Or maybe it's not that. Maybe it was hardwired into you from the very beginning, and it's just kind of been something that's always been a part of you. So, yeah, tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, well, I do think it's definitely been something that's always been a part of me, whether it was selling Cokes or selling pop at a garage sale in front of it. Like, I just posted up, like, when I was a kid, and then whether it was cutting lawns or that was, like, before I even knew what business or anything was, before I was 10 years old, that kind of stuff. And, teenager, doing some cutting lawns and stuff. But when I was, like, 16, maybe 17, an MLM found me. I would like to say I found an MLM, but an MLM found me, which is, like, multi-level marketing. Okay. And that's where I found really this is one thing that I like about MLMs is, and, if you know me, I kind of have, like, I don't really like them that much, and I'm sure there's some good parts about them, but one good part is it shined the light on entrepreneur and real entrepreneur stuff, and really trying to like, it showed me the whole world of, like, building something for yourself. And I remember being on a phone call. It was like a phone conference call, and it was just talking about how you don't need to go to college. And I remember that. And I was like, I don't need to go to college. Yeah. And so it really showed me the whole world. I filled up a room once with people, and like, I had never, like, I just went around, like, there was, like, with MLMs, they'll have, like, rent out a conference room or something, and everyone's supposed to bring a few people and fill the room and potentially fill your bottom line, or fill people underneath you. And there's a lot of people in MLMs who are really good at talking, so you want to bring your people to them who are good at talking, right, so that they can see and get sold on it, essentially. And you're supposed to, like, develop that skill too as well, but I was still, like, nervous and wasn't really ready to do that yet. But I did remember I brought more people in the room than anyone else. People that I probably shouldn't have brought too. Someone actually got thrown out by some of my Samoan cousins, actually. So like, he literally was just getting belligerent, and I don't know, I felt bad, but I set the record. So that's an interesting story. I don't tell that story that much. Yeah. So that kind of got me into the world of business. And then I found music, really, and started getting into that, and really put my focus in music and building music businesses, kind of. One of them was a music business, but it didn't make any money except for t-shirt sales. And that was me I literally spent months doing nothing but t-shirt sales, and I wasn't even doing the music. So it was funny, and that evolved into an energy drink. Super nice energy. And I really I went all in on that. I it's my first time going to a chamber of commerce in Independence, Missouri, because I was told that that's something you should do, and they could help me figure out what I need to make this energy drink and to make it legally, I guess. You actually technically, you're dealing with when you're dealing with food and beverages, there's a lot of regulations that you have to make sure that you go through. And you can't even put the caps on yourself. You have to have a machine that pushes the cap onto it. Whether it's even if it's not electrical, it's just a press. The cap has to be put on with a press. You can't do it with your hands. And you can't have a dog living in your house either. Because if your operation is in your house, which is where my operation was. Yeah. So that was interesting. So I still made 1,000 bottles just to see what I could do. I was running to gas stations if I brought this energy drink, would you guys sell it? And they were like, cool. And we would. One of them said that at least. And it didn't really sell any of the energy drinks. It was more just a prop and it looked cool. And it just was cool, the sound of selling energy drinks. It was caffeinated lemonade, and that's what it was. I bought a kilo of caffeine when you could buy a kilo of caffeine. Apparently a spoonful could kill you. There's kids that died from a spoonful of it was pure caffeine. A kilo of pure caffeine. Oh my gosh. It was white powder too. It was crazy. And it would if you took a bump, essentially, oh my God. It would you would feel it, because it was pure endogenous caffeine, which means no water. And so I bought that so that I could make these energy drinks. Bought the stuff to make lemonade, literally like an advanced lemonade stand, I guess, if you think about it. And I put two little. Three of them actually, because it actually even had a little bump spoon, because that's how you have to serve this stuff up, because it's so strong. Mm-hmm. And it was 150 milligrams in the energy drink, and that was fun doing that. And I learned I was so in it. There's actually, if you open up my Google, you know how you have bookmarks that are there. Those bookmarks, I never use them. They're just there. There's one all the way from 2015 where it's Red Bull versus Monster marketing plan, and I was studying their marketing, and I learned a lot about how Bang and Monster have actually, before Bang was Bang, they're a company, I forget the name, but they do pre-workout stuff, and that's really what they started in. But they actually had a conflict years before, and then that's actually why Reign is a thing. Reign is a Monster's version of Bang, and that's them trying to snuff out Bang like they did before, but they weren't able to because Bang's been killing it. And yeah, they've been everywhere. So I love entrepreneur stories like that. I love marketing like that, just diving into all that stuff and learning about why they're doing what they're doing and how I can be a competitor in the energy drink. I mean, if Monster bought Super Nice Energy, that would be nice. Super nice. So that'd be cool. But I may bring it back. I don't know. But I had a guitar, and there were stickers all over the Super Nice Energy. And I sold the guitar, and I told the guys, take care of this. And I told them the story about the Super Nice Energy. And yeah, that's one thing. I got a lot of entrepreneurial stories, actually. That's
crazy, man. Well, it sounds like that, when you're doing the MLM, it sounds like there was a little bit element of a personal development piece to that. I know from MLMs, that's the biggest push that they have is developing yourself as a person, as a businessman, reading the right books, getting you on the right curriculum, if you will, learning how to be a public speaker, and then you learn from the energy drink operations and what it takes to run a business of that sort. No dog in the house. You have to cap out the cans with a certain machine. Mm-hmm. So you're again, we were talking about in my episode, baptism by fire. You're just you're so excited to learn it. You almost put feelers out there and to see what happens. And that's kind of that's kind of how I learned too, man. So it's kind of fascinating to see you through that process. And you can tell it's just a passion of yours. And it's always been a passion of yours. Tell us a little bit about when you moved to Colorado Springs. I always love the stories that you tell about how you got started in entrepreneurship, at least here, just to get by when you came here. Tell us a little bit more about that, the incline. I love that story.
No, for sure. Well, it first started out, working on the military base, Fort Carson, doing construction, gutters specifically. It was subcontracted work. They needed it done, and they were, getting as much whoever they could. And
how many years ago was that?
2 years ago.
Okay.
2 years ago, almost exactly.
Oh,
almost
wow.
exactly.
Cool.
In a month or two, which is crazy. That's wild. 2 years. What the hell?
Yeah.
And really did that, and I was learning. I was going to start my video production company already. I had already invested in myself with courses and learning how to do that, and I was going to start it in Kansas City. But I was learning how to network too, and so from these courses and stuff. So I started like some of my first networking like events that I would go to. Started that out here basically. Like really got used to networking and kind of figured out what it was. And I was doing that in my off time, and we didn't have very much off time, so I could only go to like after hour things, like power connectors and, you know, certain things. If it was a windy day, you can't hang gutters, so there were certain network meetings that aligned with that, the wind.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, just that's you can't predict that, you know. So, well, some people do, but I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after the project was up, my mentor, he was like, well, if you like Colorado so much, why don't you just do a 30-day challenge, sink or swim? And, you know, if you see if, just do it, you know? And so I was like, that's a brilliant idea. Like, I was like, you're so smart. But, you know, it's just, you know, basic advice, you know, for real. But, like, it's hard to see that when you're when you are in it, and, you know, so it's good. That's one reason why I love coaches and mentors, because they can help you see things that you probably or possibly can't see, you know. So I did that, and, you know, I was staying at an Airbnb's, and every weekend I would climb the incline. Every weekend I would go to Walmart, and I would I'd go to Safeway and I'd buy dry ice, or wherever it was. I think King Soopers has the best deal on dry ice, if anyone wants to know that.
Yeah.
When they did at least 2 years ago. And all you need is one like small chunk of dry ice. And like I figured, actually, the first time okay, so let me explain what I did. So I'd bring popsicles, bomb pops, carry them up to the top of the incline, and, you know, I had a pay what you can model, and just let people pay what they can. We were selling some popsicles for 50 cents and some popsicles for like $10. So like one person bought a popsicle for $10 just because they love, like, imagine you just hiked up the incline, you're exhausted, you just did a crazy workout, and then someone has an amazing bomb pop. So that was like really cool to experience that. Like it was like with a lot of my businesses, like with this podcast, I went up there to hustle, and I found more meaning in it than I thought I would, which is interesting because it's just popsicles, but it was like literally people were so thankful and they loved it, and they were like, if it wasn't for me, they wouldn't have that experience. And so it's like, I even encouraged, you know, people to take pictures with their bomb pops, you know, put like a hashtag bomb pop incline or something like that. And because I encouraged them, because I didn't want them to squander the moment. Like, it's like you're holding a red, white, and blue popsicle on America's mountain. So, well, the incline's part of Pikes Peak.
Yeah.
So it's just, and, you know, there's a lot of military bases out here too. So a lot of people doing the incline are in the military and or Air Force, and so it's just really cool. I had one person, they bought the whole lot so that they could give it away to everyone. And so everyone, like, all at once had bomb pops. That was really cool. But the first time I did it, I hired someone this is the first time to bring a second cooler, so that's why I said we. I was like, I'll split it. And the first time we did it with ice, regular ice. I did not know that regular ice was not cold enough to keep popsicles frozen. Like, the popsicles were starting to get mushy, so the whole batch was just like lost, and we basically just had to just start giving them out. We were just giving them out because they were going bad. So that was a lesson learned, you know. It's kind of like trial by fire, like you said. And so it's crazy, like, you wouldn't think like all this goes into selling popsicles at the top of an incline, but like there's so many like steps that it was an actual business. Like, there's literally so many steps, 2,744 to be precise.
And that's the incline for those who don't know.
Yeah.
Like, the incline is, tell if people don't know, I mean, I'm sure everybody does know, but tell them a little bit what the incline is for folks who are just maybe tuning in or new to Colorado Springs. What is the incline?
It's a brutal workout.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not that bad actually, but the first time it might wind you, especially if you're coming from sea level, like either of the coast. You're not only 7,000 feet here in Colorado Springs higher than what you're used to, but you're going another like 7,000 feet up. I don't know, or maybe like 5,000, 6,000. It's like a mile, right?
Yeah, it's like a couple. I think it's like I don't remember what the actual elevation gain, but it's like we always talk about like this element of baptism by fire, right? But like that's exactly what that is. It's just a straight staircase up a mountain.
Yeah.
For a mile.
So. And the staircases, like the stair steps, they vary. Some of them are short from each other. They go like bap, 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 bap. Some of them are like you have to take long strides to get up a step. And so that really works out all your muscles, especially if
if you're carrying some bomb pops up there, so you were.
So I would have one cooler and full with bomb pops in a small chunk of dry ice, which was crazy because the small chunk it took less space and it kept it colder. So I would like every 50 steps I would switch the arms that I was holding the popsicles in, and that was fun. And so there's a lot of aspects that go into that. Like you have popsicles, you have a potential of people just throwing the wrappers on the ground. You don't want that, so you make sure that people know that this serves as a trash can too. The cooler, like there's the box that the popsicles came in was like a trash that they could stuff it in. So I made sure like that people weren't going to be throwing their stuff like while they're going on the bar trail. I didn't want them to be throwing. I didn't want like a bunch of trash because I was like, I'm trying to do this more. So if that happens, then it's going to ruin it. And it's just bad.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. So like some people might be listening to you and be like, this guy's out of his freaking mind. Like, why would he be doing all these things? Like, why do you like? You grind. You're a grinder, man. Like, why is that so important to you? Like, what does that give you? Is it like self-fulfillment? Like, tell us a little bit more about like. I feel like it's just your mentality. Like, for one, how'd you get that mentality? And two, like, what is it like? Does you get any self-fulfillment from that?
Yeah, well, the popsicle thing specifically was because I had a dream to make this business work, Vehement Visuals, and their failure was not an option, and so I was thinking of ways that I could make money while I was trying to make money. And so it's like that was the grind, and I just always had and wanted to do something more. I don't know, it's something that's just been in me. And I can't be idle for too long. I have ADHD, so maybe that's it.
It's a diagnosis. So.
I bet there's a lot of entrepreneurs who have ADHD.
I think so too. I think a lot of them have a busy mind too. You know, it's like they like to be in motion. You know, I think it's important for. I mean, I know for me, like my hustle like mentality is mostly because it gives me a lot of self-fulfillment, and I have like an inventory I take all the time of like, okay, like did I do enough today? Did I get enough done today to be like, okay, now I'm like, I reward myself to relax or whatever it might be at night or whatever. So
yeah.
I feel like you kind of have a little bit of that too, And
I do, and it's crazy because I beat myself up all the time for not getting enough done, and it's just like I could always do more, and I could always be more efficient. And so that's where I'm trying to figure out in my business right now is how to start expanding and being able to take on the clients that are coming my way right now. So that's a tricky challenge. Probably not as hard as I think it is, but I'm figuring it out.
Yeah, that's crazy. And like it's crazy because like that's what business is. It's just a series of ongoing problems you solve over and over and over again. You're a problem solver. That's really what you're a professional problem solver at this point. And so tell us a little bit more about Vehement Visuals. How you really got the precipice of like what does the name stand for you, and just a little bit more about that.
Vehement Visuals. If you notice, it's a V trifecta. Video is a V. Vehement starts with a V. It's not behemoth, which can be easily misconstrued because it's behemoth, and the V's and the B's like they're very similar. So yeah, there's Vehement and then there's Visuals. VVV, the trifecta of V's. And so it's an alliteration essentially, and so I wanted to focus on that, and so I literally was just there's no specific true like deep meaning behind it, but I did spend like over, let's just say I wrote a list of like 100 different names. Wow. And I made variants. I knew I wanted to have the vehement in there because it kind of has that passion, like when you vehemently feel something or something was vehemently done. It's like with a lot of passion, and usually with a lot of force too. But I don't like to use that part because it sounds forceful. Yeah. I'm not trying to force anything on anyone, is what I mean. But I may try to force my passion on you. So maybe that's it, because that was actually would line up with what vehement means. I say vehement, but it's technically pronounced vehement. You like the H is kind of silent. And but I like to pronounce the H so that people know how to spell it when they search it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. So it's like vehement. Vehement. That's how you say it. No. And then visuals, obviously, that's we deal with video and mainly video. But visuals could be lots of things. Like maybe a vision for your business. We want to help use video to explain your passion behind what you do in your business. That's like kind of the precipice of Vehement Visuals, and kind of what the business model was built around was not just being a technician, not just going out and shooting things. We actually want to go in businesses and figure out what their story is and how we can use video to help their business grow, essentially. And I'm trying to innovate on that all the time, like thinking of ways that I can add a better service. Like you have a friend, Zach, and you were telling me like how he does this and this, and I was like, that's adding value. What he's doing is he's adding value, and I really want to figure out how we can use video, even if it's like something no one's ever even thought of. Like I'm always thinking in that way too, but like, and that might be to my detriment sometimes, but it's cool. So just no really significant name or meaning behind the name. Besides that, I like the way it looks and I like the way it sounds. And if you know my music taste, I don't really care much about the lyrics. I like the way it sounds more than
the flow.
Yeah, and like the feel too. The feel is very important as well. Like you could say a word, but unless you say it with feel, then it doesn't have really any meaning. So, yeah.
That's so important, man. Like when you're making like intentional video assets for businesses, I don't think most business understand what that means. Like most people are like, oh, I just want a video, like promote my business. No, it's much more than that, because that might not be the diagnosis you give a client when you go into a client meeting. They might not even need a video business card. They might need testimonial. It just depends where the client is, right?
Exactly.
Like what kind of videos have you done that's like explain like what a typical video business card is, and then like explain like what kind of other videos that you've done too.
Yeah. Well, the video business card really tells your story. Really lets people build a deeper connection with you. And it's a video, but it's not just a video, it's a tool. And it's an asset that you can use within your business. This is something you're using to build connection. It's the way you implement it. It's the way that it's done. And the follow-up too with my clients with the video business cards, because some people will just post it and they think that's all they need to do. Like they just post it on their Facebook and that's it. Well, you're missing out on a lot of the value behind the video business card, because what it does is it tells your story, but it also it's a sales tool. It's an automated sales tool, and it automates you on your best day and your best light, and it clones you for a million people could watch it at once if they wanted to. I don't know if you have the servers for that, but
you could.
But I'm gonna drink some coffee.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I've been eyeballing it.
Your mouth's gonna dry. It's fine, but like that's so important. Like you were saying, it's like the 24-hour salesperson for you. Like it's a salesperson that doesn't need to take any hours off or anything like that. That's what the video business card is. It's just always promoting you exactly in the light you want to promote it. Yeah. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
It's a 24-hour salesperson who's showing up on their best day every day. Because even the best salesperson has off days. Sometimes you just aren't feeling it. But this tool is automated to do that. So and it does that in a way. It's set up to build the connection, really tell your story, because that's really people really buy who you are. For a lot of people, people don't technically go to Home Depot to buy who they are. Maybe they do. Maybe there's some truth to that too as well, because they built that. But it's more of like, just a big corporation and you trust it. So that's mostly why, and it's convenient. But for a lot of small businesses, a lot of people choose you for you, not technically for what you do, but also what you do as well. You have to do that well, and that's another part of the video business card. So first you get to connect with them, and then you get to explain with them. And if you know anything about sales, emotion and logic is two important things. You need to connect with someone emotionally, but also let them logically know why your services are good and why they should choose you, what you do, essentially. So it tells your story, and then it has like 4 other parts that are designed to really take them through the process of emotional. I did it!
Whack the mic.
I don't do that. I've never done it on that side, so I guess it makes sense when you're explaining something. Like, I'm the one like grilling people, you know. So you don't got to move your arms around. So that's cool.
You're on the hot seat today, so it's okay.
Yeah.
So like when you're doing other videos, so someone doesn't need a video business card. What's a different type of video that you've done for clients? Say they have a video business card that got done 6 months ago, but they're still looking for something video wise. Maybe it's like social media ads or something like that. Like, what other videos have you done just for clients that's other than just a video business card?
Yeah, well, we've done some story-driven, not story-driven. They're story-driven, but in a different way than how the video business card is about your story, and it's more about. And it's not scripted either. That's a huge part about why I did the video business card the way I do it, is because we really want to. There's planning behind it and there's ideas behind it, but it's really trying to get the authentic you, not the robotic salesperson you. And so you do that by having an interview with someone, and setting it up nicely. And if you're a good interviewer, then you can really pull out those moments, those. You can ask the right questions that trigger the right responses, and so that's huge. Because it allows the person it allows you to capture their authentic self, not their scripted robotic self, and that's huge. And a lot of people, they can explain what they do, but it's just it's something that they have rehearsed, So it's kind of like about getting the unrehearsed part out. And so the other kind of content that I've done is storyboarding, like full, like when I said story, it's different type of story because it's written in a way. Everything's scripted in these kinds of videos. I did a video for a bounty hunter once, and it was like a music video though. It was interesting. There's no like vocals in it, or vocals. There's no like talking in it, and there was no talking. I forgot what I was saying. So, there's no talking in it, but it utilized the story circle, which is like Joseph Campbell's, like it utilizes actual like story structure where you start out in stasis. Like if you look at any superhero movie, any like movie that's like probably like one of the biggest movies ever, like Star Wars or anything, they have there's a formula there. And like this was like a minute and a half video that I put this whole entire formula into, so it hit every spot. So you're in stasis. You're meaning that you start out like in a place of familiarity, and then something happens, shakes it up. Call to action, different kind of call to action. See, I got 2 different videos that are using the same terminologies differently though. So call to action meaning like like something calls the hero, the person, the main guy in the video to do something, so it takes them through that, and then what it does is it was designed to try to capture the viewers that were going to be watching this video in the best way possible, and so that was exciting. I wrote everything for it. That was fun, storyboard and built that out, and then did another video that I scripted everything. I wrote jokes into it for everything too, which was fun. I'm developing a comedy division for Vehement Visuals. I want that to be a huge part of it, and I'm very excited about it. I want to inject comedy into the videos we produce, and I want it to be good. And so I actually am gonna have like a team for that as well. So that's gonna be fun, and I think that's gonna help us stand out too. Like it's gonna help us be more. That could be what we maybe even focus on, like comedic videos for your business. Kind of like the Dr. Squanch videos with the guy with the long hair. And I actually reached out for that video I'm talking about. I actually reached out to him on Instagram and had a conversation with him because I wanted to have him for this commercial. But we didn't go much farther. But it was just fun that this is the crazy thing about entrepreneurship is you realize you can reach a lot of people that may seem I think a lot of us have limiting beliefs around the people we can meet. I mean, look at you guys, you're here. Oh yeah, Sean's in the background.
Yeah, shout out to Sean Q.
Yeah, Sean Q's in the background, and he's on the 1s and 2s for this episode because here I am hosting again.
And I don't have the experience to do the controls like Andrew. So,
and we just started a new process where we're switching live And that's it's gonna help streamline a lot of things. It's gonna be really cool. And Sean volunteered to help, and like, thank you, Sean. Yeah. So we should give you a mic over there. But there you are. And I forgot where I was going with that, man. I totally lost my track.
No, it's so crazy because you're kind of talking about like you have a different flair of how you do videos. I've never really met anybody that has like the flair that you do with your videos. Like I love one that you just did recently for a client. It was a music video.
Yeah.
I freaking loved it because you have a different flair how you throw things in there. And like you're saying, like that comedic piece to it as well. But it also comes through creatively too. Like you'll throw things in there and take a chance. And it sounds, it's awesome. I love it. And I've never really, everybody's got their own touch, right? I mean, I'm a marketer, so I deal with videographers a lot of video companies in the Springs and all through Colorado, and they all have their different touch. But for you, like there's like a lot of intentional things that you're doing in there that people might not see, but it brings so much flair to their videos. Like that's an Andrew, that's a Vehement Visuals video. Nice. You can tell, and you have like your stamp on there. Yeah,
that aligns with the vehement part, I think, you know, like because I put a lot of passion into the work that I do. And one thing that I did in that video that was kind of unique that I added that wasn't really planned. Well, there's a lot of stuff that wasn't planned, but it starts out where he's going into the gym and he's getting ready to train. And if you hear he's walking, but you hear like this very reverby like sound, like it's a punch to a bag, and you just hear pat, pat. And like this is the pre-part of the build up to the song where the lyrics come in, maybe about 10 seconds. You just hear pap, and then like you see a flash of him actually hitting the punching bag, and like it just cuts back. But you hear it before you see it, and like that has like some kind of psychological effect, I think.
You're activating that sense first. That's so cool, man.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm talking about because you know I have like I have a lot of attention to detail of video. I love video. I don't know how to do it, but I love video because as a marketer I use it so much. And I pick up on those things right away. I'm like, man, just that little thing just makes a world of difference.
Well, what's crazy is since you have that eye, you could literally be like a DJ Khaled or Andy Warhol. And what I mean is like you could be the name behind the project, but you bring all the people together that have the technical skills, and you bring the vision
like
to
the
life.
Orchestrator kind of deal.
Yeah, because that's what DJ Khaled does. He doesn't play any of those damn instruments.
He just does the shout out. Yeah.
DJ Khaled. Another one. But no, he does it, and he slaps his name on it because he orchestrated it. And so yeah, and maybe he does produce some. Maybe I'm like underplaying some of what he does. I don't know, but I do know that he definitely does bring people together like that know how to actually play a sax or whatever and play it well. He brings the best. I think we the best.
Yeah. He's like the orchestrator, like we're talking about.
And when Andy Warhol did the same thing with a lot of those paintings or a lot of the art that he did, and I'm pretty sure. I hope I'm right on that fact. But yeah, you could definitely. Because you have that eye, you could definitely be a video producer.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
So, like, 5 years from now, in your perfect world, what is Vehement Visuals? What does that look like? Where's the company at in 5 years, 2026?
Yeah. I have a lot of ideas around it, and I haven't really solidified them, and which probably would help at least a little direction with that. I have some ideas, you know, like with the comedy stuff. I really want to build a comedy division, and we accept crypto. We're actually launching that. We were supposed to launch it last week, but I've been so busy. And my friend, he's deep in it. He's going to be the crypto advisor for Vehement Visuals and the head of comedy division. So so building. He's one of my best friends, Jake. Shout out to Jake. And so with that. I don't know. That's a good question. Let's figure it out, Marcus.
Yeah, man. That's so crazy. And then I always wanted to ask you this because I think it's very important, especially for this podcast. Why Colorado Springs, man? Like,
okay.
Why Colorado Springs to start up this grassroots podcast that has become the #1 podcast in Colorado Springs?
Yeah.
Why here? Why did you choose your roots here? Why this town?
I just fell in love with it. That's very simple. Like literal love. I guess you could say. That's how I feel because there was like a honeymoon stage, you know? Like that's why I say that because there's like just in love with everything about the city. And I may still be, I think I'm exiting that honeymoon stage just now, 2 years later. But I've always wanted to go somewhere different than Kansas City, Missouri, which is where I'm from. And either it was going to be a beach or mountains, that's for sure. And so I landed here, doing the construction, and I wasn't going to come. My brother couldn't work on the base, so they needed someone out here, so I came. I was going to be running the gutter. I was going to be the supervisor for the gutter company in Kansas City, meaning all I had to do was just check the sites after they were done. And then I was going to focus all my time on Vehement Visuals outside of that. But then that happened, and my brother was already like running some stuff in Kansas City. So I was like, screw it, I'll just come out to Colorado Springs, for a few months, stack some money while I learn about how to run a successful video production company. And in that time, I was networking, like I said, and I was meeting people like Frank Sinclair. I was meeting different kinds of people who are just awesome, and I've always just felt this warmth here of home, and I just love it. And I love the mountains. I love exploring the mountains. I had a busted axle in my car thing, or it was like cracked or something. I forget what they call it, like a CV axle maybe. That might be right, But I didn't realize it, but I think it was because I was going in the mountains too much.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, I said, oh, snap. And
literally.
Yeah. And, well, it didn't snap yet, but it was going to. And so that was a huge expense that I had to pay for. But I learned to drive a little better on the mountains, and probably not with the Ford Focus 05. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, I think that's why Subarus are so prolific out here. That's one thing that I noticed, like, first off the bat, I was like, Subaru. And then there's so many Subarus that I know people who call them Subies,
Mm-hmm.
So it's just crazy. I never even noticed Subarus in Kansas City. But I think it's because they're really good for handling that off-road or that mountain terrain. Or I had another theory that some marketer back in like the 80s was just really good in Colorado. So I had a theory like some guy just like made it popular. So like that might be true too. So
it might be for sure.
Yeah.
It's so crazy here too, because we were talking about this on my episode, like how this town has like this aura of like if you really put in the work, if you go to the networking, if you introduce yourself to people, if you're putting yourself out there, you can very easily become a name in this town, which is a beautiful thing, in the secondary city in a U.S. state. I've never experienced anything like that, You can be hustling all you want in New York City. 10 years down the line, no one might know who you are. People know who Andrew Hazzlee is.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I didn't even think of it like that. And you say that, but I was like, I could do it in New York too.
You're like, I'm up for that challenge. I could definitely see you doing that because you hustle. I mean, that's who you are, man. It's I think it's truly hardwired into who you are. You're constantly like inquisitive, and I love it because like we'll talk about some subject, and then you're like, oh well, I researched this, and actually this, and this. I'm like, holy cow, man, you got a breadth of experience. Like you've researched, whatever it might be in a situation in your life, and it comes out when you talk, and I love that about you, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, before we wrap up or anything, do you have anything else that you want to give a shout out to? Or
I'm glad you remembered that question.
Yeah.
We didn't even prep for that. No, actually, I've had guests say no too as well, but I'm on this show all the time. I have lots of episodes with my own advertisements on them. So it's like, there's really nothing. I guess if someone's listening to this, we could promote the podcast. Go leave a review on Apple Podcasts, or go leave a review wherever you listen to your podcast. Leave a review on the Facebook page because we can do that now. We've updated the page where it can be reviewed. And Google, there's no other podcast that is on Google. I've looked, like not even the Joe Rogan podcast. You can give us a Google review right now, which is crazy. Like that's cool. So that's what I would like people to do.
That's an awesome call to action, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're establishing roots here in Colorado Springs. We're here to stay. We want to make sure this is something that we're all proud of as a community. And I think Andrew's doing a heck of a job.
Yeah.
I'm just going to back up what you're doing, man, creatively and help on the operations end. And yeah, man, thanks so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it, man. I know.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, cool. Absolutely. So we're going to wrap things up. And great talking to you, man.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Yeah. We'll see you all on the next episode of COS Business Podcast.
The #1 podcast from Colorado Springs. And let that just play out. Nice. And we'll leave that audio in there where I said that too. I like that authenticness. Like there's a lot of mess ups that I've kept in on a lot. If you look through the progress of all 100 episodes, every 10 episodes, so it's like cool.